Good current time, friendos. It's Bones McKay, and today we are talking about publishing, specifically how much I like self-publishing over traditional publishing and there's a cat underneath, why I like that. This isn't scripted. It's going to be one of those videos. I'm working on a few scripts, but I can't script every video if I'm doing like if I'm doing like 2 a week. As always, thank you for liking the video. Helps me a lot, as does comicking. Comicking also helps me a lot, but commenting. I have self-published everything. Yeah, no, I've never been traditionally published before. I've never been independently published before under like an independent publisher. I know people who have been in both situations. I've known people who it's gone well for, and I've known people where it didn't go well for, and I know people with self-publishing endeavors that also didn't go well for them. So at the end of the day, it's going to be like a personal preference which you choose. Well, which route you choose. It's not really a personal preference whether or not like you get traditionally published. It's actually very hard to get traditionally published. So like in general, I will say that I have a pretty low to negative opinion on most publishers. I think that I just don't like the concept tons. I don't like publishers in like most industries. They're useful, and like when I dislike a publisher, I have no like ill will towards people who choose to work with publishers or choose to pursue them. I just have ill feelings towards publishers just in general. The few times where like I've tried to get published, I got decently far into the process. So like if you're not aware, like the process for publishing a comic or publishing a novel traditionally is that you bring either your full completed manuscript with like a query letter for it, which is kind of like a pitch, whereas with comics you just have the pitch. You don't need all of the work to be complete, and that's kind of why it works out great for like comic people sometimes, because like earning in advance can be very helpful for your income. But yeah, so you bring your query letter over to the publisher. They see if they're interested in that story idea. If they are interested, they'll ask to see the manuscript or the completed pitch package, and then bingo bango boom, published. With novels and with approaching like large publishing houses, that's usually going to come after you find an agent, in which case like you would approach agents first. The thing is, a lot of people are trying to get published, right? And a lot of people flood the inboxes of these people. You can look up all this advice on like what to do, how to get into the industry, blah blah blah, but like it's always going to come down to like personal preference and moods and what the market's looking for, and like you can spend all your time trying to predict that stuff, but it's a shot in the dark, like all of it. Like writing to market is never going to really help you, but also like not writing to market hurts you. It's weird. I hate it. Because like the market is so annoying, and that's why I hate it. Another reason why I just hate traditional publishing is like it can be like, oh, fantasy dragons aren't in right now, no more dragon books, we can't sell them. Then it's like, no more werewolf books, the market's been flooded with them, we're done with them, no more werewolf books. It's unpredictable. Like what happens is like one thing gets big, the market gets flooded, and then you can't submit with that, and then you just gotta wait for it like to swing back in the right direction for you. And like a lot of genres just end up kind of left behind for a while, and that's just so frustrating to me. Like if you want to write a vampire book, like I just don't care about what the market wants right now. I understand why a publisher would, because it's like an investment thing, right? Like they are inherently risk averse, and that just can be very frustrating as a writer. But yeah, like, so there's a lot of people trying to get traditionally published, and a lot of them don't know what they're doing, and they can be very annoying. I've done some small, tiny amounts of publishing where I've made like anthology projects, and I only get like a single droplet of what most agents and editors are going to be dealing with like on a daily basis, or their like assistants are dealing with on a daily basis. And it can get very frustrating, and it can make you have kind of like a hard shell and a negative opinion of people. Like, I get very frustrated when people don't follow rules and stuff. Yeah, very frustrated with that. Like, if you are going to be traditionally published, like, please read what people want. But yeah, like, the thing about it is, like, because there's so many people trying to get into these things, it's so heavily weighted, right? Like, it's so heavily weighted in the favor of publishers, and I just don't like that, because like there's only so many they can publish, right? So like there's lots of situations where people just take advantage of that passion, and honestly, like I just don't like I don't like it. It always sounds so sour grapes, but like I've tried, and it's so funny. Like the few times that I've gotten very close to publishing, I learned like horrible stuff. I've known people who've gotten into like horrible contracts. I've narrowly avoided horrible contracts with really crappy publishers, like both on like the independent level and like the upper echelon level. And even if you do get published by some of these publishing houses, a lot of the work that you do self-publishing now is still put on your back. The best situation that you can be in as like someone who is pitching your work is if multiple publishers want you, and then they battle over it. And they, you get a bidding war started, and that's how you get like those crazy high amounts of money contracts. And if you get into one of those, like, go for it. It's totally worth it. But like, as far as publishing goes, like the amount of publishing houses like is slowly just collapsing together into like a big heckin' wad, all the mergers and things closing and all that crap. It makes it harder because there's like less competition or whatever. Yeah. And like, if you go with a traditional publisher, like the goal, the theory behind this is that you will sell so many more copies, so that despite the fact that the publisher, your agent, and everyone who worked on it gets a cut, you sell so much that you make more in theory than the self-publisher, who gets a larger cut of like a smaller pile of books sold. And that can work. But also, I know people where like no money gets it put into like helping them promote their book whatsoever, and a lot of it just falls on their backs, and people don't go to bookstores as much anymore, right? And it's so easy to put your books on sites where people buy books now. So like, I don't like, the distribution chain like isn't as appealing to me, especially because like, to go further into like a different direction, like for me, I like making really weird stuff, and I don't like to compromise on it. And I, as someone who makes really weird niche stuff, I don't benefit tons from reaching a general audience, right? Like, I can work on building my own audience in my specific niche, writing things that like I want to be writing. On like a personal level, like I really just don't like working with other people. I say that where I have a channel where I work with someone. I like working with other people, but I like to be like the leader. I like to have the final say and stuff. And I don't want to get into the weird squabbles that come with traditional publishing. Like, I just don't want to work with an editor, and that's personal preference. And I think a lot of people benefit from working with an editor. I don't see the point. Maybe if I worked with an editor, I would have won an award instead of being a finalist, but being a finalist is good enough for me. I think it's fine if you're good at self-editing, and also, like, I don't completely go it alone. Like, I listen to reader feedback, I do the beta reader thing. It's all good for me. It's all good. I don't like working with editors. I've heard the rants from my friends in publishing about, like, the ridiculous things that wanted to be changed in the story, and a lot of it, honestly, I don't know. I get so frustrated with how, like, diversity is, like, pushed as something that is wanted in traditional publishing. However, when you get down to, like, the brass tacks, it's not really wanted. It's slowly getting better, but, like, I can't be as free to do whatever I want, you know? You have to fight for that stuff, and I'm glad that there are people fighting for that stuff, but it's frustrating to constantly be told that we want X diverse thing, but they don't actually, and it's just so pigeonholy, and I just don't like it. See, this isn't why I love self-publishing, this is why I just hate traditional publishing. And, like, again, I have no problems with the people who write, and I have no problems with the actual editors. The editors are cool. All the other people that work on the book and get paid deserve that stuff. It's just, I don't know, I hate the man. And yeah, I just don't like it in, like, most industries, because, like, I know people in a wide variety of industries, right? Because, like, I am an artist, so I know lots of artists, and, like, the same issue, like, happens in all of them. Like, video game publishers are vile, and they totally just take advantage of the passions that people have in creating and being part of video game production, and they crush you. Yeah. I think video games is the worst, though, because, like, at least if you are a writer, if you work in, like, film production and stuff, like, you can have, like, support, right? There is, like, a writers union, right? There's, like, the science fiction and fantasy SIFWA or whatever. That's good. Like, those organizations are good, and they can help with like, keeping your eye out for, like, crap publishers. It's good now because, like, it's easier to get into those orgs, but it's kind of frustrating when, in order to, like, get into those in the past, you needed to do a certain amount of sales, and in order to get into those, like, you had to, like, get into a crap contract in the first place. Yeah, that sucks. Agents are cool. Agents are your friend. Your agent is, like, an advocate for you, you know? They're on your side. They're cool. They're the ones that are... The reason you want an agent is because they would be the ones that are going to go through the contracts and stuff and do the pitches for you and help you with the publisher, because it's a inherently kind of adversarial relationship between you and the publisher, right? Because the publisher wants to make a certain amount of money, and you also want to make money, and you're kind of at odds, which sucks, because you should also be working together. So it's just weird. I mean, in the end, that's just like any job where, like, you have a boss, and I just don't like that, I guess. I'm just too much of a rebel without a cause. I'd get into specifics, but I don't want to deal with that. But if you spend some time in comic circles, you will learn about a lot of drama, and more than just drama. Like it's BS. And like I was saying, like video games is by far the worst because there isn't unionization in that, right? You just get freaking trashed by that industry. And independent can be good, but it also can be bad, is the thing. Like independent productions, independent publishers, they aren't inherently better than traditional publishers. They can be, but they can also be way worse because they're not being checked as closely, right? It's like the small business thing. Like sometimes, like, yeah, like I've had some awful experiences with like small independent publishers. Yeah. Oh god. Oh, there was something. Oh god. Oh. I wish I would get into it, but I don't want to. And the money's not good. Like, I understand that an advance on your royalties or whatever is very good and can help you float through the hard times as a writer, but it's the same thing as like getting paid minimum wage that like isn't like a living wage. It's like it's better than no money, but it is insane how low the amount of pay is for this stuff. Like I feel that way when I'm like doing my anthologies. Like I pay regular ass standard rates that other anthologies do, and I look at it and it is crazy. Like short stories as a whole is so ridiculous to me that you can publish a short story and spend like all this time querying, submitting it all these places, and at the end of the day it comes down to like maybe like $100 for your story. It's just absurd. Like it is so absurd. And it's like, I understand the publishing side of it because I only have a certain amount of money to give towards the people involved, but it still doesn't make me feel like any less of a writing landlord. And I'm like an actual landlord. I won't get into that. But same feeling in my heart of like, I am the bad guy here, and I guess that's why I speak so harshly on publishers. Ugh. And like I try to be as good as I can within my budget, but I still feel awful about just the state of the industry as a whole. And yeah, there's so much advantage being taken. It sucks. I don't know. You put in all this work to get like traditionally published, and like it doesn't always get you anywhere. So I like self-publishing, and I like being able to talk about spoilers and things. I like to not be on any sort of like NDAs. I understand why NDAs exist, but I don't need to follow that stuff. I'm so small that I don't care about it. I can talk all I want about all the projects I'm working on. I'm just someone who needs like a lot of feedback, and it would just be so crushing if I'd kept trying to get into publishing without publishing, because like I just want to develop my small little audience, right? And I do that by creating things and having a bop. I just love to create things and have a bop. I like to create my weird stuff. I like to make all the money when I sell a book. And I think like my biggest thing, like one of the main reasons like I didn't even try with Avo, like I started putting the pitch package together for Avo, the books of Avo, what's being drawn here. It's a webtoonized version of a novel that I have out that you can read. Check out my itch.io store to get the EPUB on that. That's the best place to buy it, blah, 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 blah. But for one, I couldn't do this if I was with a publisher. I couldn't just take my writing and use it to make a webtoon because I wouldn't fully own that. And the idea of like not owning the intellectual property and all the rights completely. I just don't like that. It's just so important to me that I wouldn't want to sell that. And another part of that is like, I don't really want market forces to dictate how many books I put out of this series. I started by making it like a standalone with sequel potential, and it still is that, but I just want to make a sequel and I don't have to worry about selling that or screwing something up in the contracting process and losing something so important to me. Like, I know it can turn out well, but I also know it can turn out poorly, and trying to wrangle back your rights is just something I didn't even want to like set my toes into, because this is just so important to me and I just want control of it. That's a very big part of my personal decision, because there are negatives with self-publishing too, of course, and I'm willing to take on those in order to have complete control of my art, because it is art. But there are negatives, like, of course, like the thing with self-publishing is it's going to either cost you a lot of money to get to fill in the spaces that you can't yourself, or it's going to take being someone who has a very multifaceted skill set, right? Like, for me, writing is great. Making covers, I can get my own covers, or I sometimes do hire people, in which case, like, I know how to work with artists, I know a lot of artists, it goes well for me. Or, like, the interiors of books, like, Ursula is a graphic designer, and she does an amazing job at those, and she's my wife, so I don't have to pay her, in anything other than my love. I do, however, need an editor. Like, I don't like content edits, but I am very dyslexic, and there is no way in heck that I can release my novels without hiring someone to go through all of that. But other people are fortunate enough to be able to copy edit their own stuff, which is very cool, or they have someone who's willing to do that for them. And I do have those people. However, they are not enough. I am just that awful. I think I had like 2-3 friends go through my work before my copy editor did, and then she found 2,000 mistakes. So, you know. So yeah, if you're going for publishing, more power to you. Be careful out there. Know that it's hard to tell yourself this, because like a lot of the times it feels so good going for publishing, right? But no deal is better than a terrible deal. And you can find some really crappy people in the industry. You can find really good people, 100%. I guess for me, it's like a more conceptually vague thing that I dislike. But yeah, watch yourself, I guess. I don't know. And with comics, half this stuff doesn't apply. Comics industry is just feral. And like, if you're not going for like Marvel and DC, like, it's like no rules, man. A lot of people even just start publishing, self-publish, and eventually get picked up. And in that case, they have a nicer time of it. And there are nice publishers. Like, I almost got published by one publisher that went under, but they were nice the whole time, and I liked everyone involved in that. And yeah, like I said, they were like independent and small, but that's the other part. Is I think being nice doesn't always work out. This is so sour of a video. Oh my goodness. I guess I'm just telling my thoughts. I can at least make this a sassy thumbnail. I don't know. Give me your thoughts and feelings. I know some of you are traditionally published. I hope you have a good time. I don't wish any ill will, as I was saying. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you on Monday, where I hopefully will have another topic for you. It's nice seeing you. I'm gonna make Ursula do next week's video too, on Friday. So let's see if that pans out. Oh, remember, like the video, please, please, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodbye.